Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Yeah, a lot of tears of joy and being touched. Yes, thank you so much. Today is the last Sunday in our series on the book by Thich Nhat Hanh, True Love. And we've examined some important elements that are integral to loving relationships, and also the way in which we engage the world compassionately. And the first was loving kindness. And the key thing to take away from that is just being present to one another, to truly see someone. Compassion, allowing the movement of divine love within us to guide us in how to respond and to support and to encourage someone, but also to understand how to love ourselves. And then joy, this experience that is different from happiness, as we learned last week, but it is something internally motivated. An experience of joy can be known and felt even when the world around us might suggest something different. And today, our last element is freedom. This is a poem by a remarkable African-American poet, Langston Hughes. He wrote, "Freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my own 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, 'Let things take their course. Tomorrow is another day.' I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. I live here too. I want my freedom just as you." And of course, Langston Hughes is the poet that penned that wonderful phrase about a dream deferred. And for many in our country, that dream was deferred for a long time. In fact, it continues to be so. So as we end the month of February, we're also ending the month in which we acknowledge the Black experience in America. We celebrate the contributions of artists and poets, the great contributions to our nation of scientists and scholars, and those who built this country, even though they were enslaved. We acknowledge the history of the descendants of those who were part of the great diaspora from Africa, who were stolen from their families and their land. But there is an impulse in us as human beings for freedom, a sense of autonomy and liberty and independence. And so sure and real is that impulse that it must be something of God wanting to push through us, wanting to express through us. Unfortunately, human history indicates that our degree of freedom is sometimes relative to the amount of implicit or explicit power that is either invested in us or afforded to us by our culture, which considers race and gender and religion and ethnicity. And freedom sometimes is considered a zero-sum game, a situation in which one person or group can win or experience something only by causing another group to lose it. But that isn't real freedom, because I cannot truly be free unless I acknowledge your divine right for freedom as well. If I deny freedom to anyone, am I truly free? No. And certainly we know that this experience, this dynamic moves, as I often say, from center to circumference. It begins by allowing the transformative and healing power of God to work in and through our own consciousness so that we might release anything that limits or impedes our ability to love to love ourselves and others, and to set ourselves and others free. Thich Nhat Hanh says this about this fourth element of freedom. He says, the fourth element is equanimity, or freedom. In true love, you attain freedom. When you love, you bring freedom to the person you love. If the opposite is true, it is not true love. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. I don't know how many weddings I have performed in the 3 decades of my ministry. I'm sure it's in the hundreds by now. But I would venture to guess that 90% of the weddings I performed always included this bit of scripture from 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak with the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And I've often wondered how many of the couples that I have married have really understood what that means. And have I myself really understood what it means in the relationships of my life? Certainly, text is an affirmation of and a call to understand the power and the challenge of loving. This is the most integral part to me. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It does not insist on its own way. Love frees. When they first became popular, I became addicted to any manner of conveyance that had wheels. I had a rolling suitcase. I had a rolling cooler. I had a rolling backpack. I had a rolling duffel bag. If it had wheels, I had it. It all started many years ago when these rolling bags first became very popular. I went to buy a set of tires for my car, and it was between a set from Goodyear or Michelin, but the Michelin tire purchase was offering a free Samsonite roll carry-on with the purchase of 4 tires. So guess which set of tires I bought? Well, it was love at first sight. I laughingly called the stash of rolling bags my excess baggage. And while that might be a humorous description of my addiction to wheels, I will tell you that I have carried some excess baggage into the relationships in my life on more than one occasion. Unhealed and unacknowledged material from my past. And we collect that as we go along in life. And we carry it around. And it shows up in some interesting ways at times. And we lug that baggage into every experience of life. We carry it all. Our pain, our fears, our negative experiences, our limiting beliefs, sometimes even our prejudices and our biases. The past is a burden that we carry with us sometimes into the present moment. And we relive those experiences over and over again because we expect those experiences again and again and again. And we allow those experiences and that excess baggage to control our lives. There's a great book. I don't remember what's in the book, but I remember the title, Who's Driving Your Bus? And we allow this unhealed, unacknowledged, unillumined stuff to drive the bus of our lives. We live in the past and we miss the possibilities and the gifts and the blessings found in the present moment, and we get stuck there, and we are not free. We are not free. People that we love feel the constriction of that hurt and that pain, and they are not free. There are those, I'm sure, that believe that once a relationship is over and the experience has run its course, that this is the measure of our freedom, the end of the experience. But we are not free when we allow that pain, when we allow that unhealed material within us to control the way that we respond and the way we react to life and the way that we engage in relationships with others. Our need to control someone or something is directly tied to some internal wound. It is directly related to trying as hard as we might to protect ourselves from pain. It is born from fear. But love does not insist on it that way. It is not irritable or resentful. One of the most important freedoms that we have is the freedom to decide whether you will hold on to the past and accept the repercussions of that in your life. Thich Nhat Hanh writes, "We carry all the seeds of fear buried within us, but we do not want this fear to manifest because it hurts, so we repress it. On the contrary, we should open our doors so that our suffering can come out. But we are afraid of doing that," he says. But we should not be afraid because we have available to us an energy that should help us to care for our pain. We have available to us an energy that should care and to heal it. We must make room. We must move out that old energy to make room for all that is possible within us. If we are to love without the burden of fear, burdening others, or unhealed or to move out this unhealed material, the key to this is forgiveness. In every case of Jesus speaking about forgiveness in the New Testament, it is rooted in the same Greek word that simply means to lay aside or to let go of. And certainly that is the essence of forgiveness, to lay it aside, to let go of it, to release the energy of the past that no longer serves us. I want to share with you a prayer. It's an old Unity prayer. It comes from a Unity writer by the name of Imelda Shanklin, Imelda Octavia Shanklin. She was one of the very first employees at Unity in the very early 1900s. It was basically just the Fillmores, she and one other person. She's a marvelous writer and a really amazing interpreter of Scripture and of the principles of truth. And so I want to share this forgiveness prayer with you because I think it's really powerful and helps us to understand how we carry this excess baggage with us into the relationships of life, but also helps us to understand how to release it, to lay it aside, and to let it go. O God of love and forgiveness, love and forgive in me. All that has offended me, I forgive. Whatever has made me bitter, unhappy, or restless, I forgive. From henceforth, I shall remember that your spirit animating me and all others is perfect, holy, and that your presence makes this planet heaven. I forgive everything that I have remembered offense. I forgive everything by not remembering I may have been offended. If there be in the depths subconscious, that which holds itself as offense, I forgive. I let it go and can no more be offended by it. I forgive that your love may cleanse my soul, that your life may flow through my flesh and make me again to be the undisguised image likeness. I forgive my ignorance of the past, and from this moment I hold your mind to be my mind. Your light eternal may make bright of my soul. And without, things present and things to come, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And certainly, as we forgive, we are free. You are beings created in the image and likeness of God, and freedom is a divine idea in the mind of God that offers you, through God's grace, the ability to choose new ways of being, new ways of relating, that offers you the ability and the possibility of opening the space up within your mind and heart for healing and transformation. You are the offspring of God. You are holy and whole, and you are courageous. You are free. God's life, God's love, God's wisdom, and God's power flow through you. And so, as we are on the threshold of this season of Lent, I invite you to allow that to be your intention for this next 40 days. To open yourself up, to clear out the consciousness of resentment or hurt or pain, so that you can make that space within you for the movement of God's healing and transforming presence in your life. You forgive. You forgive.